Hi, so this is Roberto Latapiat for CIS 5372, Fundamentals of Computer Security and FIU with Professor Blazek. I'm going to be covering an attack on a vulnerability known as ARP Spoofing. In this type of attack, the attacker sends a malicious ARP packet via the network to its victim or victims. These packets are meant to populate the ARP tables of the victims with the incorrect MAC addresses. This will cause the traffic to be redirected to whichever device the attacker chooses. Basically, we are associating the attacker's MAC address to a legitimate IP address. This intercepted information can then be modified, stolen, or otherwise manipulated. However, there's another form of attack that can benefit from ARP spoofing, which is a denial of service attack, where basically the attacker will swap the MAC addresses of several devices with the MAC address of the victim. So any traffic that will go to several computers will all be routed to a single machine, and thus overwhelming it. I am gonna show you guys how to perform a simple demonstration of what ARP spoofing is. All right, for the ARP spoofing demonstration, we have two virtual machines here, one running Kali Linux and the other one running Windows 10, just regular Windows 10. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're gonna make the Kali Linux the attacker machine. Alright, so for that purpose we need to turn the Kali Linux basically into a router. So at that point we just run the following. Let's wrong one there. Let's go forwarding. Alright, so this command will turn the Kali Linux into essentially a router because it will enable IP packet forwarding. Okay. All right. So since this already happened, we need two basic things. We need three basic things. We need to know the IP address of the Kali Linux machine, the IP address of the Windows machine, and the IP address of the default gateway. So if we do an if config on the Linux machine, we're gonna go ahead and get the IP, which is 10.0.2.4, and in here we go ahead and do an IP config /all. We're gonna get the IP configuration, and we're also gonna get the default gateway right here, 10.0.2.1, and the IP address of the machine itself is 10.0.2.15. All right, so we also want to show the ARP table for the Windows machine. So here you see we have the physical address, the MAC address for the default gateway, as well as the physical address of the Kali Linux machine, 10.0.2.4. Here you go, 10.0.2.4. As you can see, they are different. They've been logged as two separate entries in the network as normal network function. So let's go ahead and let's send malicious ARP routing packets basically from the Kali Linux to the Windows machine to basically fool it into putting this this MAC address into the default gateway. So the default gateway will appear in this ARP table to have the same MAC address as the Kali Linux. So let's go ahead. We're going to use Arp Spoof here. As you can see, we have it preloaded here. So we're going to have the interface in the Kali Linux, which is our main interface here, our real only interface. The IP address of the target machine, which is our Windows machine here, 10.0.2.15, and the IP address of the default gateway, the /r, so it's 10.0.2.1. All right, so let's go ahead and run it, and it's going to start sending those ARP packets. So let's go ahead, let's give it a couple seconds to make sure, and let's rerun the ARP command here. And as you can see, now 10.0.2.1 and 10.0.2.4 have the same MAC address. In fact, if we were to stop this version of the attack that I'm doing is only active while this machine is sending the malicious ARP packets, but that's all that an attacker will need to route whatever traffic they need to for X period of time, and then they can go ahead and perform their attack, retrieve whichever information they might need to if it's not properly secure. So you see, if we go ahead and run this command again, the ARP table corrects itself. Some ways that ARP spoofing can be prevented, or at the very least mitigated, would include packet filtering, where basically you have automated software at this point that will look into the packets and make sure that there are no duplicate MAC addresses or any unexpected changes to that. There are some dedicated ARP spoofing detection software built into many anti-malware and other security suites, but those tend to be expensive. But if you're a big organization, it could be something worth looking into. Another way to kind of mitigate, it will not prevent it, is to make sure that your traffic is encrypted, whether it's with TLS, HTTPS, any sort of things. That way you can detect if there's been any tampering to the information. And at that point, you can start investigating how that tampering happened, in which case hopefully you will discover the attack.